Hey guys, we're back. More Dino Mania.
Yeah, we are just on a dino buzz the last few weeks.
We actually got in the semi-official third member of Boba Joe called Reximus Prime, who's a boss battle, but also kind of a mascot who's now in the intro.
Yeah. Our Reximus Prime name doesn't belong to anybody, so we can take it.
No, I can take that. I can take it,
You
repurpose
hear
it,
that?
remix it, sell it illegally on the dark web or something.
Yeah. We can repurpose it, we can name it, we can
Can rebuild
patent
it
it.
stronger, faster.
We're 30,
Now, I can't
30
remember.
episodes now. 30 episodes of the Boba Joe.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I didn't even make up that name, Reximus Prime, by the way. I read that years ago on some Transformers fan fiction or something like that. And so I borrowed it from somewhere. I can't remember where.
I've heard it before. You know where I've heard it?
Yeah. I want to
It's
say
the name that
TFW
was on
2005 because I've read it for many years, read all kinds of stuff on there, fan customs and whatnot.
it's written on the box of my third party Grimlock, my oversized
Is
Grimlock.
it
It says
really?
Reximus Prime. Yeah, it must
Ah, maybe
be.
I got it from that. I don't know. But I'm sure I've heard it before. I'm sure it was a fan kind of name before that. There's a lot of DeviantArt profiles and stuff of like made up Transformer names. You can look up Dinobots. There's like 30 or 40 fan art Dinobots, and they all have names pretty much starting with S. So you can spend an hour just looking at that, and they're actually good. They're actually cool designs and stuff.
Yeah, well, soon we are going to be releasing our own third party adaptation of what we're talking about today. It's going to be called Automobiles and Prehistoric Reptiles.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm up for that.
It rolls off the tongue.
It does.
You know, we're here for episode 30, where we're continuing on the Dino Buzz, and we're going to talk about Cadillacs
Oh, yeah.
and Dinosaurs.
And I was already thinking when I built this show this week, I was like, oh man, I'm really craving more dinosaurs. But I thought, we'll take a break. So we've got some other things planned in different weeks. I thought later in the year we might do a special on the kind of 90s dinosaur toys and tunes. Like you had your Dino Riders, you had Extreme Dinosaurs, you had Dinosaurs, you had this Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, all of which got their own toy lines and stuff. That might be cool to come back and do a thing later in the year on that.
Sounds like a plan.
But yeah, this
Beautiful artwork
property
here.
started off as Xenozoic Tales, an indie comic in the 80s. Not unlike, say, Ninja Turtles, it was a low budget black and white comic. I mean, fantastic artwork, but it was a smaller print run, press run, whatever that you would get at the comic shops. You're not going to find on the newsagent. It's pretty much made for adults. It's not particularly violent in terms of indie comics thing, but it is very nice illustrated art that would have in there. And I was certainly not reading this in the 80s as a kid, but I was aware of it. Been going to the comic shops for many years. I'd seen the title. Whether I'd seen issues or reprints, I don't know, because it's been reprinted by 2 or 3 different companies. They're all out of print now. So the original book was Xenozoic Tales. Topps Comics picked up and ran with a continuation following on from that. It expanded on the stories in the 90s. At the same time, they were doing Jurassic Park comics, and these ones are in color as opposed to black and white. And it's more cool, sort of like this is for like your full illustrated pin-up kind of promotional type images you'd sometimes get for like reprint covers or trades or advertising and that. And there's been some really nice art over the years from the series, and it's all pretty spectacular, and it's a mishmash of kind of styles and genres, but it very much goes back to the 1950s, like B movies and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I just love the entire aesthetic of it, and
Yeah, it's
know,
actually surprisingly intelligent and good. It's not, I mean, it's all B material, but it's, I don't know, I'd compare it to like good stuff from like James Cameron. It's intelligent science fiction that actually has good commentary on the human condition, but it doesn't beat you over the head with it. It's got cool action, but it's got quite a bit of good dialogue and sort of, you call it a post-apocalyptic future, but it's not Mad Max. It's different than other post-apocalyptic typical science fiction stuff. It's its own thing that's unique and interesting.
Very unique. Yeah, and like you said, it's not just a rip-off of every other kind of post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, surprisingly so.
So it does borrow elements from other
yeah,
things.
all sorts.
You mentioned Mad Max. There's definitely plenty of like
probably a Planet of the Apes might be
stuff.
the most similar in tone. Maybe like there's a series. Like.
Yeah, a little bit of a dash of Mad Max, maybe a little bit of Planet of the Apes. You've probably got a few other things thrown in there, especially like the idea of mankind getting so far with technology and then there being some type of cataclysm that kind of puts a stop to everything and they're kind of reset. Like we've seen it I suppose in a couple of other stories, but what makes it unique, I think, in this one is apart from the loss of technology that mankind is also having to deal with, you've got this extra added threat of dinosaurs re-emerging as like the dominant kind of life form on the planet. So
I'll read the quick synopsis of Wikipedia, because if I try and talk about one thing, like I'm so scatterbrained, I go in 50 fucking directions at once. So I'll read this off of here because it makes it more coherent for people that don't already know about this. So the storyline is in Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, or Xenozoic Tales, whichever name you go with. In the storyline, Earth has been ravaged by pollution and natural disasters of all sorts in the 1990s, very familiar to us. To escape this, humanity built vast underground cities, so think, I don't know, like your Fallout sort of thing, in which they lived for approximately 500 years. Upon emerging, the humans found the world had been reclaimed by previously extinct life forms, most spectacularly dinosaurs and prehistoric mammals. So you've got, saber-toothed tigers and other stuff as well as reptiles. In the new Xenozoic era, technology is extremely limited. Those with mechanical skills command a great deal of respect and influence, which the main character is Jack, who's called a old blood mechanic because they've lost technology, but he still has, and some other people have some knowledge of how to practically build and rebuild things and make use of them. So hence the Cadillacs, because of some of the supposedly surviving, how they survived rust and tires didn't fall apart after 500 years, I don't know.
It's a good quality car right there.
Ignore that kind of thing. Yeah, they were quality products. There you go.
Hey, look, it was only 500 years. It's not going to rust in 500 years, and like 500 years is all it takes for It only takes 500 years for evolution to turn on its head and
there's not any like old rusting cars up in the bush here that have been sitting there 30 years and they're down to like just bits of nothing. I walk past.
Look, it's an American-made automobile. It was built to last.
Yeah, there you go. American-made.
It's just a great premise, a great, and just like a really unique setup. We've got our post-apocalyptic world mixed in with our prehistoric dinosaurs, and there's just a few little weird quirks to it. Like I might be veering off topic a bit, but when you're looking at the pictures and the comics, and you see it also in the cartoon series,
Flash Gordon with them stripy pants and whatnot, or like World War II era stuff.
Yeah, there's like a real like kind of Tarzan type of deal to it as well,
and all the
just so much,
like your Raquel Welch sort of jungle cave girls and Sheena and all those kind of characters.
And like the character of Hannah Dundee, who's like the lead female character.
He's an intelligent scientist, not a bimbo. That's just the pin-up art for the art, but she's actually an intelligent scientist character.
She wears numerous hats, scientist.
Yeah, that's true. She's also
ambassador. That's right. But look, no matter what version you see her in, whether it be the game, the comic, the cartoon, she's always drawn to look absolutely gorgeous. I really
she's
do
got
love
that real kind of Betty Page era sort of pin-up girl look to her, with the perfect hair, the Salem perfect hair, and all that. And she was also we'll cover sort of the comics, toys, and cartoon here, and later we'll get onto the video game. But she was also the character I used to play as in the game, having at the time knowing nothing of the story. She was a good fast character, good combos, good hits, and was the one I could get the furthest in the game with.
There they are, the old cartoon cell. Beautiful looking animation for the cartoon,
Yeah,
very
it's surprisingly
reminiscent
good looking
of
show.
X-Men. Yes,
Mm.
it's
Like when I saw clips of this as a kid, I didn't think much of it because we used to have Saturday mornings 6 a.m. through lunchtime. There was just non-stop cartoons, and you'd see bits of Thundercats and He-Man repeats and some other thing, and so you'd see some shows and miss other stuff. So I never really saw an entire episode of this until pretty much last week when I was watching them on YouTube, and they're all up there for free. So feel free to go and watch them.
They are all there. I would highly recommend them to anybody. It's a really underrated cartoon
It's
series,
better than I thought it would
and
be.
it was something as a kid. It was by total accidental happenstance that I stumbled across it. I was going to stay with my older brother in his place while my parents were away on holidays. This is like in the early 90s, and yeah, they just were running them. He had that. I think it was like Fox Kids or something like that was the name of the satellite
Mm-hmm.
channel that it was airing on, and I pretty much got to watch what turned out to be the entire run of the show. I didn't realize there was only one season, but I got to watch them
Yeah,
all
only
for
one
like
season.
a week. But it's a great show. Like I said, the animation, it's very reminiscent of those other 90s classic cartoons like X-Men and Spider-Man and the like. It's just got a really nice look to it. The dinosaurs look great. Lots of talented voice actors. I believe it's a Canadian made series as
Yeah, that
well.
Nelvana.
It was animated. That's right. That's right. And yeah, just lots of good fun and lots of good science fiction elements. It takes a lot from the comic book source material, and it does the usual thing that a cartoon has to do, especially in the 90s, where like look, you can't outright have on screen kind of blood and violence, so they use
Yeah,
ways to kind of get around it. Villains
maybe
are
some cream
often
blood.
yeah, we're gonna capture the main bad guy multiple times instead of just shooting him like we
Like,
should have
get
done
away.
the first time.
It's it's truthful to the comics, which are a mishmash of sort of, I don't know, like your caveman, jungle Tarzan stuff, your Flash Gordon, and then you've got these 50s automobiles, and then you've got your adventure heroes like your Indy and what's the guy Indy was based on, the bloody previous guy. The other guy looks at Solomon's Mines and all that. You've got all that kind of these different elements in there, but also it's got kind of political stuff in there. And I don't mean our modern day politics. I mean like very simple, like there's a different group or tribe, and this is their elected leader. There's quite a bit of that actually in the cartoon, and it's done really respectfully and well. And you see that they're all kind of against each other at times and cooperating at other times. It's not just the case of there's good guys and bad guys. It's like, well, in one episode they're like kind of fighting each other to death, and then the next episode they're sitting around like the Justice League at a big table arguing about who's doing what, even though they were just fighting in the episodes. So it handles all
Yeah,
those different
there's
things very well, like the savage and the
definitely
civilized.
yes, it's the perfect representation of those kind of real life democratic
Yeah,
difficulties where
and it's like
you
your
will have
local
to come
council level
together.
government, like this.
Yeah, because even in the like in the later episodes of the cartoon, you see where Jack and his crew have to cooperate with the poacher gang who are like the main
Mm.
villains. So like yeah, there'll be these kind of situations where
Like in the
because
game, you're just
even though we
punching these guys, but here they talk as
yeah,
well.
yeah like we'll definitely we'll get into the simplistic fun and brilliance of the game, but the cartoon and the comics, there's just so much stuff being thrown at you. Like even
They're very nuanced as well as the cool art and concept. And
it's just it's just really like it shocks me in some ways, and I will look we'll touch on it as we get on in the video, but it's
mm,
amazing that it doesn't still exist as one of the more prominent kind of featured properties. I suppose it never really got a chance to shine because of
yeah,
the timing and everything that happened, but it's just it pulls from so many
yeah.
different genres for inspiration. Like even there in this kind of bottom middle shot, you see that kind of blonde guy wearing the spandex suit. Like he's
I think
actually
that's Magneto, isn't it?
yeah he's a cyborg from the past called
It
Adamus. So
looks
there's
like a
an
90s
episode
image
where
character.
there's this episode where they find this pod kind of buried in the ground, and they open it up, and there's this kind of android inside it that was developed by the military back in the 90s, but then the whole cataclysm happened and
Yeah,
he was supposedly lost forever, but he's dug up and reactivated, and then
he's
you have this
Kickboxer.
kind of oh, it's so cool, man, because he's like a cyborg killer robot that's super
Yeah,
strong and he's a Terminator basically.
yeah.
But then you've got the
But
situation
he's
where
got the hair like Fabio or Jean Claude.
you got the situation where the two tribes are trying to gain control of him, because obviously you kind of got the more villainous tribe looking to use him to kill dinosaurs and kind of do their evil bidding, whereas Jack's crew would like him to be kind of part of the solution and helping rebuild society and stuff. So
Yeah,
there's great kind of elements of science fiction kind of thrown in just all over the place, really. It
yeah.
takes from so
And
many different things.
I really like that the character Jack is, while he's drawn as like your stereotypical Flash Gordon heroic male alpha character, he's not that at all. He's an environmentalist. He's for all kinds of life and the dinosaurs and animals, and doesn't want to kill something unless it's absolutely necessary because it's ravaging and destroying us. That's like this is kind of the world they promised us in that bloody Jurassic Park, where the dinosaurs were supposed to be living in the world, but it didn't happen. Still got a whole bunch of insects. So you got people dealing with ecological disasters, and you got people who are just like, well, we want to just mine and go to work and don't want to hear about bloody dinosaurs and politics and shit and just get on with life. And guys like the Jack who are trying to help get on with society, but don't want to go around mindlessly just like shooting everything that lives and demolishing things. And so he's not anti against the other groups. It's just that he's like got certain values that he lives by, and he's a really interesting character. And although it's based on all these different science fiction stuff over several decades, this being a 90s cartoon, there's a real ecological vibe that runs through from like Ninja Turtles, Captain Planet, other stuff of that era, where it's like, pollution is bad and we should try and not destroy each other and the whole planet we live on because it's the only planet we've got. There's that kind of vibe in it as well. But again, it doesn't beat you over the head with it. It's just kind of the background of it.
Yeah, and when they kind of push that type of ecological message, it's usually in a common sense approach when it's with Cadillacs and
Yeah,
dinosaurs. So for
we
example, they
need
might
water to
have
live. Don't make the
yes,
water all dirty.
yeah. Oh, the bad guys have decided to build a dam and it's divert so they can divert the water to the settlement, but it's causing the other dinosaurs to not go to that river, so therefore the predators
Yeah.
are coming further inland to hunt,
Mm-hmm.
and they're attacking the human settlers.
Triceratops
And
are charging like cattle through the settlement because the water's not there. Now they're going to run over people.
exactly. So they try and kind of, I suppose, tell you that, look, if you're going to do this thing that might have a short-term benefit, there could be a long-term problem that
Yeah.
it causes. It's just trying to remind you that you can affect the world around you by
And it's like
interfering
watching
too
old
much.
50s westerns with John Wayne and the Rio Grande, that sort of stuff. It's very, very practical in that way.
Jack Tanrak as well. He's a real kind of roguish, kind of Han Solo look and
Yes,
feel
yes.
about him.
He's not
He's
like
definitely
all the way
very dashing.
anti-hero, but he's definitely not a by the numbers sort of guy. He does things his own way.
Yeah, I'd say he's a pretty cool dude, and
Oh yeah.
they never really kind of expressly show you anything, obviously, in the cartoon, but you definitely get the
Hmm.
the gist that throughout the cartoon that Hannah Dundee definitely has a bit of a thing for him. They probably have a thing for each
Yeah.
other, but it's
I
always
feel like
it's
I
only
don't know if it
teased.
comes up very much in the comics because I read a few of them and it was kind of like not so much there. So I don't know if it was one of those things with the cartoon where they added that in or not. And I don't get why his costume. Do you know what's going on? He's got that green undershirt and there's some kind of pattern, or I couldn't figure out what the hell is on his shirt because it's something they added in the show and I can't figure out what it is or why they put it in there. Almost like a
Yeah, they
scorpion
added
or a
in.
map or something.
It's like a weird like wrench or bolt
Ah,
or
is that what
something.
it
It's
is?
supposed
I
to
keep
be.
looking at it thinking, what the hell is it?
It's supposed to be the symbol of the old blood mechanic,
Ah, that's
and
what
I
it is.
believe as well. that the bad guys have like a symbol. It's like a skull and
Yeah,
crossbones. It looks like a
yeah,
pirate symbol, but it's supposed to symbolize poachers. I think
yeah,
that's something that was added in for the benefit of, you know, selling toys. Basically, you have your
yeah,
Autobots and Decepticon logos,
yeah, yeah.
except it's,
It
you
was just
know,
real
the
noticeable, but
mechanics
because
and the
that vest is
poachers.
always over the top, I can never quite make out what it was, and it was just bugging me. But yeah, we did get a tie-in toy line, which was a short line. There's like what you see on here is pretty much it. So you got a few figures, a couple of dinosaurs, a couple of vehicles, and an unreleased playset apparently that like exists on the picture and as a prototype, but apparently was never in stores. But the figures were in stores.
That's so disappointing because in the same moment I find out about the playset, I also then find out that it was
Yeah, you
never
think, oh, I want to
released.
play that.
But these figures, they're pretty cool, and they're released by Tycho, and they look like they'd scale nicely with your Kenner Jurassic
Dino
Park.
Riders and Jurassic
Yeah, and of
Park.
course Dino Riders. They're reusing the Dino Riders molds in a lot of cases.
I assumed
You
they
know,
were when I
so
saw them. I never had one Dino Rider as a kid, which was Monoclonius with Marco, who was like one of the Sharkhead clone guys. And it was a beautiful toy. And I had it for a long time at some point and moved 20 times and lost it. And I could never buy it again because they got too expensive. But fantastic sculpts. And I'm looking at these, I'm like, I'm sure they must have reused the dinos when I saw them.
yeah, I
Even the
think
way the parts fit on them.
so. Apart from Dino Riders and
Mhm.
Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, they also reuse the sculpts again for like a natural history museum release of just more kind of
Did they?
you know,
Oh,
plain
nice.
dinosaurs without any type of gimmicks or that. Just the dinosaurs, no weapons, no people, just the
Because
dinosaur
they
molds.
also
They
did
reused again.
in the later Dino Riders, they did like mammals, didn't they? Like other stuff, non-dinosaur
Yeah,
things, which I've never seen any of those toys. Only years later on the internet, all that stuff. It's
I like as well
funny
that
you got
they
like two versions of him, even in the beginning. You got two. You got
two
like
jacks. Yeah,
Seth Rollins and Seth Rollins in different to start with. It's not even a wave two. Wave one, we get two versions.
at least they give us a little file card for each character. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I did a little. I clipped and collected them. I found these on eBay. Someone was selling these. That had took really nice photos of them. Someone who must be, if not a collector, a fairly good seller because they had a lot of Jurassic Park stuff and they had most of their stuff was in pretty good condition. And they took good photos of things. So thanks to them, I was able to get because most of these photos online, they're the size of your literal thumb. You can't find anything that's not blurry. You can actually see. And he had some real nice box shots of this Triceratops here with the big crazy catapult gimmick.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like we were saying before we were recording earlier, I'm sure there's plenty of Dino Riders collectors who double dipped on Cadillacs and
Oh, for
Dinosaurs just
sure.
so they could get another crack at some of these molds because they are great toys. And Tycho was like one of those names, those brands you just never ever hear about these days. I wonder did they even
No.
still exist? They were probably, you know, assimilated by a larger corporation.
Yeah, like Tycho and Galoob and Kenner and all those ones that made like good toys and got eaten by other bigger companies that used to do great toys and they get by on their name brand recognition.
Some nice bad guy characters here, the Terhune gang of
Is
Hammer
that
and
is it
Bite.
Bruce Willis on the right there firing that rocket thing with a
Yeah,
Bruce
it looks
Willis
like him,
mixed
doesn't it?
with Mad Max, I guess.
And you know, I have to say they do a good job here at giving you pretty accurate, you know, representations of
Yeah,
the
it looks like the
characters as
show.
they appear on screen. It does look very much like the show,
It's,
of
it's
course,
funny
with the
that
extra.
the guy on the left who's called Hammer Terhune, he's also like the first boss fight in the video game, so I recognize him from that. And it's funny to think how many times I've beaten that guy up being the first stage boss.
Yeah, and yeah, because
He
yeah,
might
in
come
the
looking
game
for me
he's
one of
like
these days.
yeah, he's just a stepping stone in the game, but
Yeah,
in the cartoon he's like the continuous kind of
yeah,
force that they're
ongoing
doing
character in that.
battle with. But yeah, I always love the 90s firing gimmicks and the brightly colored accessories and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
It's just like,
and all these colors and styles and stuff felt very much like the bloody Transformers G2, and then what do you call the later GI Joe and the crazy colors? I mean, I just call anything from that era G2 with the crazy colors, but they've got
I know, like the
specifics. You
GI
know, from
Joe,
1994.
yeah, the Eco Force and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's it.
Yeah.
Eco. There was other crazy ones too, but the Eco Force specifically.
Yeah, you can't beat a bit of 90s color, some James Bond Jr. style colors.
Oh yeah, I watched that show. It was not good. Had a toy line as well.
Yeah, they're pretty nice looking figures, like simple articulation.
Yeah,
But once again, I'd have no problem having a few of these on the shelf. Nice playable toys, and like I was saying, a decent representation of their on-screen counterparts. You can actually see the
yeah.
logo a lot better now that you were talking about earlier.
Oh
You can
yeah,
see
you
it's kind of
can
like a
now it
there's
looks like some
Mappa.
kind of like alien on a Godzilla baby, fetal baby thing wrapping around his.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's a good
I can
line.
see this
It's a good
line
line.
being popular with people too who like this scale and having other toy lines that it'll be compatible with, fitting quite well. If you've already bought everything and go, I can get these guys and chuck them in with my other similar scale toys.
Vehicle with the Triceratops skull, the motorbike, it
That's
actually
so
appears
90s. That
all
could
the
have been a
time.
Ninja Turtles vehicle. Look at that.
Oh, easily. This is
Or a He-Man. Could have been a
Triceraton.
He-Man vehicle.
Could have been Triceraton mobile if it was turtles,
Mm-hmm. There we go. Just repaint it, make it orange or something, and
But it
orange and
actually
silver.
a version of this vehicle appears multiple times in the cartoon show. It's kind of
Yeah.
Hammer Tarhoon's main mode of transport. So we do kind of see this style of vehicle a lot in the cartoon.
Other
But
than the
I'm
dinosaur
looking
thing,
at
this
that.
actually feels like the most Mad Max vehicle. Because remember they have the spears and shit on the back of the vehicles.
That's right. The poachers, you definitely get a Mad Max vibe off the poacher people in
Oh
Cadillacs and
yeah, and one
Dinosaurs.
of the guys will say, one of the boss battle guys we'll see in the game is very clearly based on the guy in Mad Max 2 that has the mohawk and that, like straight up
Yeah,
his costume and looking around.
that guy who was also Bennett in Commando.
Yeah, that's right. He likes a bit of
But
the old arsenal chaps.
this playset, I wonder, was it ever? There's probably someone who might watch or listen. Maybe Gojitron, if you ever watch this, because he knows a lot about this stuff. I wonder, was this playset ever used in any other toy line that Tycho put out? Since
Yeah,
they
because
didn't
apparently it
end up
wasn't
putting it
released
out.
in this toy line as a prototype, but yeah, has it? Did they reuse it anywhere else? Or is somebody out there found like a prototype in a dumpster and they're trying to sell it for $1 million? No, apparently no one's ever found one that was we know of.
The only thing I will say about it, from just going purely by this photo, if it's
Yeah.
supposed to be Jack's garage, they haven't made much of an effort to have a place to stick
Where's
your
the
Cadillac.
garage? It's like the entrance to the
Yeah,
garage.
yeah.
You've got to build the garage. Maybe that's the second part of the place here, is that garage, and this is like the entrance to it.
Yeah, I think they fairly threw this together before they've
You
even
need a
any
world made of
intention of
cardboard to
putting it.
come in and build you the actual garage and put this in front of it.
Yeah, I need at least space for 2 Cadillacs, a red one and a blue one.
Yeah, I'll take a purple one, but a red one will do.
I think we only got the red one in the actual release
Yeah,
that we see
I'll
here.
park it next to the Foot Cruiser. Thank you.
Beautiful toy. Really, I'd love to get my hands on one of these in good condition for a
Oh, they're
fair price.
gorgeous. Look at that bloody silver chrome and they don't know if they were telling the show or not, but I assume that the tank things are for the conversion of the dinosaur poop into fuel, which they now use for fuel. Because I couldn't figure out what the heck else they for.
Yeah, because they do need to make their own fuel and gas and stuff
Mm.
in the 26th century. So yeah, what an awesome
the toys probably
beast
got a
of a
gimmick,
car.
but in the comics and that, like they use dinosaur poop for fuel.
Yeah, and it's a issue that comes up in the storylines a lot when other groups of humans have been trying to make their own fuel, but it doesn't work as like the way it should, and it fucks up motors and engines and stuff. So that's why you need guys like Jack to come in and fix things and show you the right way to actually maintain and kind of salvage this leftover technology.
Yeah. But we're
Yeah,
going
what
to
a
get
beauty.
into the game next and talk about that in a minute. But before we do that, kind of take a little break for about 3.5 minutes and enjoy a Cadillacs and Dinosaurs medley thing I made earlier this week for the show, but then I'm chucking it on YouTube separately as well because I thought, why not? But it's 3.5 minutes of cool music, and there's a whole bunch of cool artwork stuff on full screen, and then we'll be back after that.
Enjoy.
Yeah, so when I was building the show this week, I was lying in bed one night listening to the actual full soundtrack on YouTube, and I was enjoying it so much. I thought this music's too good not to, have a chuck in part of it into the show. And it was already on YouTube, so I know I could put it up there and not get copyright strike and whatever. There was no issue with it.
Okay, the network got a few backdoor deals and got us permission to use the music.
Oh, yeah. I hope you brought some coins, Mark.
Oh yeah, my pockets are ready to be cleaned out.
Yeah. The older track mode's coming up. And Jack's looking a little bit pale here, but I think that's partly the old video raster monitors and whatnot that they would show. Look at the characters. He looks a bit pale compared to the comics. and his hair has gone from dark sort of black to brown now.
I like this. He's part mechanic and part shaman.
Yeah, and that's straight out of the comics. So, well, they refer to him in that way as like, he's good with the machines, but he was also good with the dinosaurs and animals, like the old horse whisperer sort of character.
He will fix your car engine both physically and spiritually.
Exactly. Actually, I used to see a mechanic down here, and one time my old Ford car, I don't have anymore, had some kind of problem with it, and I didn't know what it was, but I'd be sitting at the lights and the whole power would just cut right out, and you'd go to restart it, nothing, like as if you disconnected the bloody battery. And it just kept intermittently doing that for like a week or so, and I'd stop at the lights and have to get out and push the bloody car off the road. And I took it down to a mechanic here who absolutely ripped me off. Like, never go to Auto Masters in Spearwood because they're shit. They charged me $1,000. They didn't fix the problem. They tried to rip out the bloody coolant, where your coolant goes in and through to get your motor coolant up. They tried to tell me the water tank and coolant blow. I said, oh, this is got a crack and leaking, got to replace that. I said, that's been dripping for like 2 years and it's fine. Don't touch it. Just fix the actual problem that brought it in. And they insisted that they had to do it. And it was going to cost $500 for a fucking plastic container. I said, no, get a second-hand one. And that's a lot cheaper. They still charged me up to $1,000, about $800 in labor and $200 plastic container. Drove 5 minutes down the road, went to see a completely different mechanic who does all sorts of vehicle safety inspections as well as actual, mechanical day-to-day wear and tear stuff. He opened the bonnet, and in less than 3 seconds, he goes, there's the problem. The electrical, there was some electrical wires that would run over the very top of the motor with big black rubber cables about as thick as your finger. And there was bits of it turned white, which was an electrical burn. I'd seen other types of electrical burns, but I didn't recognize that. It looked like someone had put icing sugar on top of the motor. He saw that straight away and went, there's your problem. And they fixed it, and it didn't cost stuff all. The other place ripped me off $1,000, never fixed it. So go to your old blood mechanics. Don't go to Auto Masters and Spearwood.
Go to Jack Tanrick. He'll fix it for you.
Yeah.
He's not going to rip you off.
No.
He's not some shyster.
But yeah, here we get Hannah, who's a diplomat and explorer, and she's also, I can't remember, because I've only read some of the comics. She's some type of scientist, but I forget what speciality or whatever it is as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Because in the cartoon she mentions it, but I forget exactly what the
it comes up more in the comics are. But it's more the backstory anyway. And this is a character I use most in the game because she's got really good range and skill set, fast hits and moves, like a ninja, really fast. And then you get the stuff with Pyro.
I think Hannah Dundee is the least changed character from comic to cartoon.
Yeah, I think so.
And to toy.
And I
she
like
actually looks pretty consistent the whole way through.
I do like some of these names too. Like I don't know if Dundee is a reference to Crocodile Dundee, which is a game was in that era. So, and when I see the names Jack and Hannah, I'm like, the amount of eco-environmental stuff, I'm like, Jack Hanna, Jungle Jack Hanna.
Yeah.
You saw Letterman in that.
Mustafa Cairo. Engineer and Jack's friend. I like the way being Jack's friend is an attribute.
Yeah, that's a speciality. You got to have that on your CV. I'm Jack's mate. You'll get the job and put that on there.
I can do a flying kick.
He's a very good ranged character too. He's like got the long kicks and all that. And I don't know if they ever tell you what kind of martial arts, but he's got those real kind of Savate type of kicks, like the real long. And then we get Mess O'Bradovic, and who's the big muscle guy. And a lot of the Capcom beat 'em ups, I would use the muscle guy. I use like Hagar and Final Fight, and I like the power guy. But all the characters are fairly balanced in this. But I always went with Hannah when I played it.
And do you know what is the deal with this guy? Because he just...
I don't know. I don't know if they made him up for the game. I'm still trying to find if he actually turns up in the other media or not. And
as it says here, he has an elusive past, and I certainly don't know much about him.
No, I don't know if they made him up just for the game or if he turns up in the later. Because the problem with the Xenozoic Tales, the original 80s comic is it's all out of print and you can't get it anywhere. And they've republished it by Dark Horse, Marvel, other ones, but those are all out of print. There is a couple of things on Amazon US that are there, but it's kind of like, I was looking at it earlier today, and it says special order from the publisher, meaning it's a bit of a gamble to actually send you anything.
Yeah. And expensive, I guess.
Yeah, about 50, 60 bucks. This is like American 50 bucks. But it was like 400, 500 page reprint of some of the earlier stuff, which is most of it. It's at least half of it, I think. There was 2 volumes.
Okay, viewers, just DM us when you listen to this, and if you have hard copies of this shit and it's going for a good price, let us know.
Indeed. Yeah, they had another listing on Amazon Australia for reprints of Xenozoic Tales, but it just says out of stock. And usually when something's out of stock and you order it, it never turns up. So I clicked it anyway because it was about 50 bucks. So there's a chance in the next year I might get something, but probably not. I ordered a Ninja Turtles little golden book for $5 6 months ago, listed as in stock. 6 months later, nothing. That's Amazon for you.
Yeah. You can either like it or just learn to deal with it.
Yep, like it or lump it. Take your aggressions out on some hunters.
So tell us, Johnny, how did you first happen upon Cadillacs and Dinosaurs? Was it the local chip shop? Was it an arcade? Where was it?
No, not the chip shop, because this is a 3-player arcade game, like simultaneous, this is their track screen. It's showing it off here. You can have 3. It's not a 4-player like your old Konami Simpson Turtle. It's only 3. But it would have been Wizards in Christchurch City, which was the big arcade. They had about 100 machines. I don't know if I remember the first time I played. I might have played it on a Wizards night. It used to be Saturday night. You'd pay $8. All the machines were on free play, and you had 3 hours. It would be packed. You'd line up, and once you go in, all the machines are full. We'd kind of rotate and wait for someone to come off one and go another. But you'd play everything. You'd go around and play a bit of Turtles in Time. You'd play Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. You might play Knights of the Round or Captain Commando. And a lot of those games, that was the first way I got to play them, where you had unlimited credits and you were playing in every machine, whether it was Mortal Kombat, AVP, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, was full. So you were getting to play with other people at the same time you'd never met, but it made it more fun because you had free credits and you're just getting to enjoy all the combat and the bosses, accidentally discovering special moves. I'm fairly confident that's how I first played it. But when I got to actually really playing it, not on free play, but paying my own, money, 20 cents or quarters for Americans, I used to go back in on a Sunday with my mate Luke, and we would walk from his house, which was less than an hour away. We'd kind of go to the comic shop. We'd go into Wizards Hangout, and they moved the older games up to the back end, and the newer stuff would be at the front. And sometimes, I think this was a 40-cent game, 2 20-cent coins. But when it was up the back, it was only 20 cents because it was older. They put it down to 20. And I would go in and play it. And I would just spend 1 credit on it. I wouldn't spend more than that. And I played it probably I want to say I probably played it for about 6 months, about once a week, spending 1 credit at a time. Because I had money for other games and I didn't want to spend it all on one thing, And so slowly I'd get better and better. And I would get the best I can do as I could get up to the 4th stage on 1 credit, and sometimes I could beat him and get to the 5th stage, but usually I would lose against that boss. And if I was going to spend a 2nd credit, it would be to get to stage 5. But it was pretty good. That's like half the game I used to get through on 1 credit.
Yeah, practice makes perfect.
Yeah, I did the same thing with Golden Axe as a kid. That game was very short. I used to play that for months, and eventually I could finish that whole game with 1 credit. But anyone can get through this game with 1 credit. God damn, the second half of this game is very difficult, and there's a lot of cheap deaths and hits and stuff that just enemies swarming you, and it gets really difficult in the second half of the game.
And look, full disclosure, if it wasn't for modern day emulators, I would have never gotten to the end of this game, because in the arcade, the few times I did get to play it, I
would have spent $10 easily.
Yeah, I just didn't know anything, just would keep on picking Jack and Hannah and not making it that far in. Plus, I never played this with multiple people. Like I only
Mm.
ever played this by myself, so I never
Yeah,
really
I
got
played
the full
when I was playing
co-op
it once a
experience.
week. It was just me, but only on those Wizards nights I had other folks. But you all don't know what you're doing. You're all just like button mashing and.
Yeah,
But like to get through this on my own by myself, one player, I'd probably be spending 40 or 50 credits on it without the practice to get better at those later levels.
it's yeah, no, you hit the ground running with it on the introduction kind of screen. It's pretty much a deal where there's dinosaurs attacking settlements, you know, shit's going down, and Jack's just he's gonna go to war and he's gonna get this stopped. You don't get too much kind of explanatory detail as to what's going on. Like if you
If you
didn't
got
really,
anything on an arcade game back then, it was, Capcom. Most arcade games didn't have any kind of story. You just exploded things and shot things. And so it was rare to actually get cutscenes like that. There was only very few companies that would do stuff like that.
and I didn't have a clue because I hadn't yet, when I first laid eyes on the game, I hadn't seen the cartoon yet, and I'd never heard of the
Mm.
comics, so I had no clue what
I'd
was
heard of
going
the
on.
comics, so I didn't. Probably not the first time I played, but when I'd played it several times, I'd recognise that it was the same thing from that Xenozoic Tales.
But yeah, a great looking game. Right from the get go, you can tell it's like a Capcom beat 'em up. It just feels like Final Fight.
Mm. You got all those big sprites. You got very responsive controls that have been refined from that Final Fight style, and you've got really good pacing in the levels with the enemies, item drops, health pickups, weapons, bosses. Like the pacing of this game is just damn near perfect. It's like fantastic.
There's also there's a few Street Fighter vibes running through it as well. Like when you knock
Oh
off a
yeah,
boss at the end of each level, and it does the slow motion knockout where
yeah.
they're
It
kind
does.
of
I was
going
thinking
through
that
the
this
air.
week it goes whoa, in slow motion. They
And,
bounce around the screen just like the Street Fighter when you KO them.
and as we get through the game, we're definitely going to be running into a familiar face that might even look very similar to a popular Street
Yeah,
Fighter character, but we'll get to him later. Hitting the jungle,
yeah,
the
yeah. This
swamp
is
forest.
stage two where you start seeing more dinos because the first stage just has that little I don't know, raptor looking dude when you beat the first boss. The next stage we get Triceratops. We get a sleeping T-Rex, with hints of what you see later in the level where you get later levels where you get one that wakes up, starts rampaging everywhere. And we get those old Capcom barrels.
Classic trope of Capcom, the burning barrels.
Yeah, you're going to get something good out of it. Not a chemical burn. You're going to find a coin or maybe like a street pizza or chicken.
And it's so like anybody who's played Final Fight can just kind of see so much Final Fight in this game, even though obviously
Oh yeah.
the backdrop and environment is very different. But we've got the fat guys, we've got the just those type of enemies where even though they have a different coat of paint on them and the sprites look different, you can tell it's still
Mm.
the same program for the sprites and how they
The
act and
weapons
how
are
they
much more
attack.
balanced on this too. Like you get guns only have a small amount of ammo, but you can use them quite well. And if you get a hold of any clubs or sticks or that stage two boss, the butcher, you can knock his big cleaver swords out of, or machetes, whatever. You can knock them out of his hand and actually use them against them, and they've got fantastic range. And the weapons don't. The guns run out of ammo and they're useless, but the club and sword type weapons like Streets of Rage, you can use them infinitely. They will not, unless you get hit, you won't lose them for the whole stage. You can really like knock the hell out of people with it, do a lot of damage.
And they had to balance it that way anyway, because what would be the point if you could just pick up a gun and just rattle your
Yeah.
way through the game?
Or you'd be the Punisher.
Yeah.
So another Capcom game, but not as fun as this game.
So one thing we never get any on rails stuff in Final Fight. This was the first Capcom fighter I think I played where they put you actually in a vehicle and sent you
Yeah,
speeding
that's
down.
such a surprise when you get in that. And when you're on three players, you can all control at the same time, and no one wants to go the same direction.
You know that's just a feature that's put in there to deliberately lose credits because they want that type of, back and forth, needless deaths
Yeah,
over a miscommunication.
yeah,
Swallow those quarters.
yeah. Getting to actually
Equal the
drive the
credits.
car in the third level was awesome because I mean, it's half the level. You put because it's just invulnerable like a tank. It's just mowing down all these guys and running through them all.
It's cool the way it's another Capcom and just general beat 'em up trope from this time as well, where in between each stage you're moving across like a map, so you see the
Yes.
different kind of locations you're traveling to and from, which is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
like Golden Axe Final Fight, you get a cool map that actually makes sense in the world, and the backgrounds are quite consistent how they change from one place to another.
Yeah, it's
But yeah,
quite
we get
the
the
visual treat.
but yeah, stage two, you fight that guy called the Butcher, and he's like probably the first difficult boss because he bounces around the screen like a big baby. He literally bounces all over the place and goes and jumps out of the screen. It's very hard to hit him. But once you learn his patterns and manage to steal his big bloody machetes off him, you can beat him fairly easily. And he also laughs at you really horribly. He makes this horrible cackling laugh at you the whole time. An absolute
Yeah, he
bastard. Like
kind of
when you first play it, you lose a lot of credits on him until you learn his patterns and how to beat him.
style of the fight reminds me about when you fight Rolando in Final Fight, except instead of throwing grenades, he's whacking you with
Yeah,
bloody swords. But it is that bounce and going off screen and coming back in. When you don't know his pattern, he's just going to kick your ass.
and it's kind of hilarious. He's a big chubby guy, but he literally bounces around like a baby. Just goes everywhere. It's a strange character. But I remember it being quite
Really good to
gruesome
work with.
too when you run into him. He's slicing up this bloody
Yeah,
Stegosaurus. It was like horrible.
yeah. First Dago there getting gutted. These poachers, these scum.
Mm,
You could only ever kill a dinosaur in self-defense.
yeah, but yeah, go on to the third stage where it starts off the first half, but where you are in the old Cadillac, and you're just mowing down all these guys who are all like hanging out, just like Final Fight and Streets of Rage. They're kind of crouching down, having a cigarette or something, and like all of a sudden you're just coming and zooming along and mowing down through all of them. It's so much fun.
If you were to only show this part of the stage to somebody and not tell them the name of the game, they probably would assume they were playing some type of Mad Max Road Warrior game.
But yeah, the Cadillac's invincible until you get up to the stage boss, who's the guy on the doing the wheelie on the bike with the long hair, and he throws grenades that blow the car up, and then he keeps zooming off the screen, throwing grenades at you, and you got to do a lot of like jump kicks to eventually wear his health down.
Yeah, and once again, it's and I know I'm so repetitive saying this, but it really hits home, and it hit home the last time I was playing even the emulated version. It's so like Final Fight. It's like Final Fight on
Yeah.
steroids.
Oh yeah.
Especially just the boss battles.
It's
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 like
it's
they've
a lot fairer than Final Fight though. Like even this game gets more difficult in the second half to make you spend more credits. But if you
yes,
get really good at this, it's more fair and more balanced than Final Fight. Like there's less cheap stuff like all those bloody those guys that come in and throw all the flaming bottles in the last stages of Final Fight, and the guys that Endora guys that when there's multiples that charge off the screen with invincible attacks and that, and you've got a bigger wider play area here, whereas in Final Fight you're really boxed in. The guys will hit you from off the screen all the time.
we got to see for the next stage as well the interior of
Jack's
Jack's garage.
garage,
It's
and
awesome,
all the
kind of
guys have like
factory
come
level.
in and invaded it while he's been away.
And it's so cool. I love especially as you progress on through and you go it kind of brightens up a bit, just the animation for the sprites, especially when you think of the time this game was made, it just looks beautiful. Like it still looks really,
Oh
really
yeah,
nice and
I think it's
detailed.
one of the best they ever did for Capcom. Like this and Aliens versus Predator in a class of their own. And there's one of the did a few years later in the late 90s called Battle Circuit, which I don't know. I don't know if it got released outside of Japan or not, but that builds on what these games did as far as having special moves, very fast combat, very fluid, great controls, and all that.
Yeah, they were really hitting their stride, Capcom. They were just
Mm.
putting out games that were just beautiful looking and played so well. And it's one of those things, like when I say that something reminds me of Final Fight or Streets of Rage or Golden Axe, like I'm not saying that in a negative way. I say that in like, I love these type of tropes in games. I love when you can find like that kind of connecting balance and familiarity in a
This
game
game's
that
so
kind of
fluid too, with your hits and your throws, your zoning with your jump aerial attacks. There's a couple of special abilities like down up hit and stuff, like uppercuts and that. It's so balanced, and it's probably the one I come back to the most. That I still have. I've never really gotten bored of playing this game. I still find it very enjoyable to play.
it's so good. It's so good. And like so far we've seen like every level is so unique, and it's one thing that differentiates it from those other side scrolling beat 'em ups is you're not just in the city all the time. You're actually
Not just in
seeing
the
these kind
Warriors.
of, yeah, it's like wastelands and jungles and forests. Like
Yeah,
there's a nice
and the
mix of stuff
soundtrack's really a
thrown in.
step above too compared to some. I mean, like, not that other Capcom games are bad or anything, but like so the games before this, like they were just getting a bit better, where it actually sounded decent even on the old arcade speakers. Whereas a lot of the time, the old MIDI format music was so heavily compressed that it sounded tinny and kind of headache-inducing rather than enjoyable. Whereas this game actually sounded really good.
I used to like growing up. I kind of once it became apparent that it was only in the arcades and there wasn't any type of home console version, I was
Yeah,
pretty disappointed.
it never
But
has
in a
been.
way, it's probably a good thing in some ways because at least we never got like a stripped down version of the game. We always
Yeah.
got to see it in its kind of finest form, the way it was meant to be played in the
You can play
arcade.
it on MAME on a computer for many, many years, and there's still people going, "Why don't we have home versions of this?" And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up and buy a cheap computer and put MAME and play it. It's
Yeah.
perfect. It's the arcade version. It's
That's how I played it. Yeah, I got to finish it from playing the emulator. Like I was never going to.
mm.
Where are you going to
I'm
find
so
a world
grateful MAME
Cadillacs
exists, so
and
we'd never
Dinosaurs
be able to play
arcade?
this again.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did
But
look up. I mean,
someday they might release it.
mm, yeah, well, I did found out something else today. I never knew about this. I've always known that this game and Aliens vs Predator were tricky because it's not just a Capcom video game; it's a licensed thing, so it's understandable why it never came out on anything. But then eventually, from Konami, we had Turtles, we had Simpsons have managed to come out again. Although Simpsons was on networks and then gone again, whereas Turtles got the nice collection and they've got on disc now with Turtles in Time and the original one. Um, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, the name is owned by General Motors.
Ah,
So that I
you'll
think
never
that's
get
part of the
that.
reason we've never seen it on anything ever.
Yeah, yeah. I
Because
don't
all the
think
other
they'll ever.
stuff, I know the comic book guy will be like, "Yeah, I'll take royalties, please. Put it out on a fucking modern console. This game that was popular in the '90s." And Capcom have done generations of re-releases on every bloody platform on PS1, PS2, network, and all that. So I don't know, but I'm guessing unless you're Michael Bay and you've got your deals with the military and cars, they're probably not going to give a shit about this video game from the '90s that they own the trademark on because of the Cadillacs business.
Well, best chance then I think of us getting it would be if
Just sweet talk the boss,
they
whoever's working it out.
or if they just rebranded everything back to
Yeah, they have
Xenozoic
to
Tales.
rebrand it for sure. Yeah, but you'd have to remove
Just
or
and
reskin the
release.
Cadillacs in the game as well. But it's doable.
Maybe
I doubt it will
it's
happen, but it's
doable.
doable. Mm. But yeah,
Yeah,
I never knew
or
about
just
that. I was
go.
reading
They
the
can take
Wikipedia
our
page
name.
today.
They can they can take automobiles and prehistoric reptiles as the new
Yeah,
game title.
automobiles and reptiles. There we go. But yeah, we get these images here. We into the third stage. The guy on the bike is the boss there, and then going to the fourth stage, we get this cool boss guy who appears at the start there when we see the map, who's very clearly based on the old guy from the Mohawk from Mad Max 2. He's got all the leathers and everything. And also, rather tellingly, his attack uses boomerangs, throws them at you. Except these called slice, so presumably these are actually the metal sharp boomerangs like the little feral kid threw in Mad Max.
Yeah, chops
But
the
yeah,
dude's fingers off.
I used to be able to get up to that stage for reliably on one credit. It's a lot of practice. Yeah, just a close up there. You can see here the guy's actually throwing the grenades at you from the bike when you hog smashing into more with the Cadillac. such a fun stage. And then here we've got the face-off with the guy called Slice and Jack going, "What are you doing in my garage?" Because he's like, they've gone in there when he's been out and about punching up other guys. And he does another Street Fighter thing, like that with super attacks. He has those kind of shadow clones that follow him around that confuse like which is him and which is the shadow.
Yeah, it's a well-used mechanic that Capcom kind of perfected for this game, especially.
I can't remember where they first used it. They used it in something before Street Fighter. It might have been Final Fight. There was something else. One of their other games, they used it in those shadows, and then they put it in the Street Fighter for the supers.
I feel it might be in Final Fight when you fight that guy with the samurai sword. You fight him in a wrestling ring. Yeah, I think it happens
later in the Alpha Zero games. That's it. Yeah, because he dashes at you with those swords. Yeah, he's a bastard. But yeah, we get more weapons in Stage 5. You got the guys with presumably that's dinosaur meat they're cooking up at the campfire. But you can pick up these little torches and use them as a weapon and set guys on fire, just like they get set on fire in Final Fight and Street Fighter.
And we're getting into the heavier kind of dino-populated areas for some action.
There's some Roger Corman action going on here.
That's right, because we still have that. It's the T-Rex, but he's the T-Rex standing kind of upright as opposed to the.
I just love on this level. Game. There's a bit where you go from getting Triceratops on the screen, and then they're green, and then when they're placid or not doing anything or idle, they're green. And when they're orange, it means they've gone aggressive. They're going to attack you. If you've hit them or the enemies have attacked them, then they'll hit you back. But some of the dinosaurs, if you don't touch them, they'll just leave you alone. You can just walk past them.
Won't interfere with nature, and it won't interfere with you. There's a lesson there. But
I do like.
I love the way
T-Rex has the little ZZZ showing it sleeping.
Yes,
and we saw one earlier.
Rex.
But this one, the hunter trapper guy starts whacking it and waking up, and it just starts rampaging, including eating the bad guys in that bottom right screen with all the blood. So the idiot that woke him up gets eaten.
I love that they kept the names of the dinosaurs the way they are in the comics and the cartoon as well. Like the Triceratops is the Mac, and there's the Ripper and all that. Like it's just it is that kind of, because obviously I suppose we didn't really touch on it. Do you think that these dinosaurs are actually dinosaurs as we knew them, or do you think there's like a mutant or a radiation aspect to it? Or
I'm not really sure. Like they just show that like some kind of cataclysm happened, humanity's away in their fallout bunkers, and when they come out, all these creatures are about. So I don't know if there's a mutant thing going on, but as far as their behavior and looks, they're like classical dinosaurs. Although in some of the comics, there was a T-Rex that had some kind of genetic mutation, like a chameleon, where it could blend into the background with camouflage. So there's some other kind of stuff going on there that I don't know much about. But they certainly behave like regular classic dinosaurs anyway, as far as they want to eat things and hunt and sleep and whatnot.
You have that. Is it in the? I think they're in the comics, but they're definitely in the cartoon. There's that kind of amphibious reptilian race called the Griff. They can speak, but they are reptilians. So there's definitely
I want to know more about them. They're like half. They seem to be kind of half human, half reptile sort of men or whatever. I don't know yet because I'm still kind of exploring the lore and stuff in this. And they're also got some kind of telepathic ability, I believe.
That's right. Jack Tanrick has a telepathic link with the species. So yes,
I do love you get so many dinosaurs in this level, even on the screen at once, just absolute chaos. And then if you've got all them dinosaurs, the enemies, 3 players, you can hardly keep track of what the hell's going on.
And if this was ever ported home to a Sega or a SNES, it could not handle all those sprites on screen at the same time.
I would have to cut a lot of animation and all this stuff.
You'd never. Well, first of all, you couldn't do 3 players. You'd probably have smaller dinosaurs.
You just had Final Fight guy, 1 player, 1 dinosaur.
Yeah, couldn't hack it. these hunters get.
Yeah, no, you don't. That's one of the things you don't see in this game. Actually, you don't see those Griff characters in this game at all.
Yeah, they're kind of absent from. But then again, like you're not going to, like we said at the start, it's not like they have time to get into the whole explanation of everything. All you really need to know is the very basic premise of what you need to know.
But there is a good amount of mutant bosses in this coming up, which we'll see.
Nice.
So there's that element. There's definitely science gone wrong, very Fallout bunker style, where there's hidden research and data that, and these little bunkers and stuff stored away, or ruins or whatever. And as people are exploring, they're finding different things. And there's a crazy scientist who's, or a mad scientist who's experimenting with genetics and whatnot, and turning people into weird mutant hybrid human dinosaur people.
He must have gotten his hands on Dr. Dalcium's formula to make.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Monsters.
He's taken that and combined it with what he's got from Nedry and put it all together. I think that's what led to this cataclysm.
Because if you are watching this on YouTube, you'll see the third screen here, the third picture. Like, is that Blanca or is that Blanca? It's Blanca with a tail.
It's clearly the design of based on Blanca, but he's a reptile here with a tail in it.
Yeah,
and I remember playing this game back then and seeing the colors and going, "Oh, look, it's Blanca. He's got the shorts and the hair." It's clearly the Capcom artist having fun using the same colors and look to him. I mean, he's got more. He's got a tail and he's got different hands that are more like a frog or whatever.
We'll see. They'll reuse this sprite multiple times before the end of the game. You're going to keep coming up against him, and same with this other. He's the kind of the gray guy. He does the kind of headbutts, the charging.
The Pachycephalosaurus. There's a really cool boss battle here. In that middle screen is a scientist with the kind of Frankenstein monster forehead and haircut. So you fight this guy, the little scientist man, who's like half the size of you, but he's got an Uzi with unlimited ammunition and jumps around just firing bullets everywhere and does a lot of damage. You beat him, doesn't have a lot of health. He dies in the Street Fighter style where he flies up in there and bounces around the screen. Then there's this, exactly. And then there's these weird mutations and parasite creatures also coming into this game, and the lore we don't know about until now. And the screen fades to grey, like you've beaten the stage, but then he mutates into that Pachycephalosaurus dinosaur man and gets up, and you've got a whole other boss battle, and this is like the real boss battle.
Yeah, it's intense, and it's like you said. Not to say that the game is easy for the first half, but it's definitely a lot harder in the second half because they are just throwing all sorts of crazy stuff at you.
This stage isn't too bad. It's sort of after this is when it gets really ramps up the difficulty, going to like stage 6 and onwards, and that like the Packy boss guys. You can kind of avoid his charging attacks and zone him pretty good, but as we go into the next stages, it gets nuts. And like here at the beginning of stage 6, Jungle and Mine, we've got the first stage boss, and one of the other sub bosses, a guy with the big mace thing on the rope. You're fighting those as regular guys now at the time. They were like bosses earlier in the game. That's another Capcom trope, having early stage bosses as later game regular enemies.
Yeah, you got to drain those pockets. You'll not have a single jingly coin left in your pocket to get halfway through this game. We get the cool.
This stage is very cool, where you get a Brachiosaurus in the background, but just his foot is hovering about and stomps down, and if you're in the wrong spot, it takes a lot of life off you.
That's a brilliant mechanic and an excellent idea. There's a couple of levels. We mentioned the actual driving level earlier, but this stage here with the brachy foot coming down as well, it's just another excellent bit of extra.
Sneezing.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, it's just so cool. It's just so cool.
Dust or something is setting you off bad today. But
you're allergic to dinosaurs.
Yeah, I'm allergic to dusty old fossils and dinosaurs and mad scientists. And we get another cool mutant thing here in the very left middle of the screen. We can see the parasite with the weird tentacles is jumping onto a regular guy. It mutates him into that dinosaur thing that's called Tyrog or T-Rog. And you fight several of those in the game. Just like the other boss guy, when you beat him, he gets KO'd, but then he gets up again and changes color, and he's all gone all feral and mad, and fight him again. And then you beat him again, and then the parasite jumps onto another guy, and you fight him a third time. And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So I know things are getting more crazy. It reminds me of like Streets of Rage 2 with old Dr. X and all the weird mutants and labs and shit like that.
And I actually think this game probably so this would have been probably developed in 1992 and then released in 93.
Yeah, it was around then.
So I'm sure all the other games were poaching, no pun intended, but they were probably stealing bits and pieces from each other and just kind of shoehorning them in.
Well, they've had interviews years later where they know that Streets of Rage existed because of Street Fighter. They're trying to do something like that, and then they've gone the other way again, where like Streets of Rage has influenced later stuff in Capcom things, and Capcom has influenced Sega things, and Sega things have influenced Konami things, and they've all gone around. They all played each other's games and that. And I don't think it's good because it's like, there was a similar thing in the 90s where they were doing Doom and Quake, and eventually other companies came along and built on those sort of models, but they'd all play each other's games and think like, how can we take this core feature and add something to it, or make it unique, or do something else and build on what came before. And it really helps progress games forward and give you good game mechanics.
Yeah, it's definitely a much better attitude than let's rip off other people's ideas and release an unfinished game that we will then charge people money to finish.
Yeah, an unfinished game back in the day was called like shareware, and it was free, and it went around and millions of people would play it and then want to buy the real one when it was done. Not like here's something that's patchy and buggy and completely fucked, and you can't play it for 2 years, and it might brick your whole system.
Yeah, an unfinished game was called a demo back then.
Oh yeah, the old PlayStation 1 demos.
Yeah, we got the big foot coming down here.
Yeah.
Great mechanic.
It's like the old Dino Crisis T-Rex busting through the wall or something. It's like this dinosaur is so epic, we can't show you all at once, just its foot, like Shadow of the Beast, just a big foot on the screen.
It's a really nice way of, because once again, we talked about other side-scrolling beat-em-ups. If this was, say, like in Streets of Rage, that would be the crusher coming down in the factory. It's the same type of mechanic we've seen before, but it's just done in a way to suit the environment that we're in. So instead of a crusher, it's a giant dinosaur foot, so sorry.
And it works because this level we get sort of tropical. This is the tropical jungle that exists kind of in between some of like their cities. It's like the wild land. It's like the savage land in bloody X-Men. This is like the most dangerous, crazy place you shouldn't go. But also some of these old vaults and ruins are hidden away in this place. But also there's potentially weird mutants and all kinds of crazy shit going on you don't know about going in here. And we get really cool effects here, like great soundtrack music, and the rain starts coming on the screen and really cool animation. And also the ground, instead of being just flat, it actually goes up and down like terrain. It's like kind of hilly in that. So it's a really cool, varied level.
It's so cool. And the environments just keep getting weirder and weirder.
And we get a classic elevator here.
Yeah, elevator. Like, they love like what type of side-scrolling beat 'em up would you have if you didn't have an elevator stage in the game?
Yeah, you got to box
it's essential.
Box them in.
And of course, like you mentioned earlier, the earlier kind of sub bosses and less common enemy sprites are now being multiplied and coming at you really hard, really fast.
Get a really cool
and everything at you.
The stage 4 boss who is called Slice. Now we get a version of him that's mutated into a half dinosaur man who's just as deadly and annoying and moves incredibly fast with his boomerangs and shadow attacks. But really cool variation on the boss.
Multiple blankers now,
Yeah, the blanket guys are not too bad. They're actually pretty easy to beat if you keep away from them. But they do like a stretchy tongue attack, like a frog. I can't think of which reptile is it. The frog, that does the stretchy and grabs it and pulls it back to catch a fly and all that. They've got the big stretchy tongue. They don't do it that often, but if you stay away from that and kind of keep away, you can kind of wear them down.
And a look here at that Dr. Fassman dude as well, who's
Yeah,
eventually going to cause
mad
you a lot of
bastard.
trouble. He is a crazy,
Yeah,
crazy guy. He's got
going
a
into
real,
episode.
he's got
Yeah.
umbrella style laboratory underneath his
Oh yeah,
facility.
it's fully like all the tanks and these things growing, and you know as you're walking past them, when that tank starts going crack, 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 it's got to leap out and start trying to eat you.
Yeah, it's just I love that type of shit, man. It just really, and I mean this in like because it's another Capcom classic, but like later on, you have to believe that in Dino
We're gone
Crisis
from
and
the
Resident
jungle and
Evil
all this
2,
technology stuff now, like,
oh, it's so cool. It's so cool, and
and
it's
it's
like when
so
we were talking about
creepy
the
and
comics and the
foreboding.
card, and like it just everything is. You know, the first time, you know, like as adults now, and we were used to playing this type of game, but I remember playing this lab section for the first time, and you don't know what you know what's going to break and what's not going to break. Like you can see
Yeah,
that there's the dinosaurs and the creatures in the
it's like every
background,
third
but
or fourth one will jump out at you.
until you learn that pattern, you're kind of really like just kind of edging your way along the
Yeah,
screen
yeah.
just to get to the next bit.
And at the same
They
time, you're
just
enjoying
throw
seeing
it
the
at you.
sprites without them attacking, just getting to get a good look at them.
Yeah, in this bizarre lab that the good doctor or maybe not so good doctor is experimenting with this stuff. He's
Well,
been
he's going to
getting
be the
high in
creator
his
of a
own
new world,
supply.
Mark. Are you joining his new world order?
Maybe it's time to go NWO for life with Dr. Fassbin.
Mutant for life. You can be Mutagen Man, and I'll be Muck Man. We're both equally stuffed.
Yeah, we're both melting and hideous.
It's giving me some of that radioactive juice into my veins. But yeah, just a close up
I will
one
laugh.
here showing some of the cool background guys. Got that raptor and the crazy Blanker Man and the other boss thing that parasites, you know, mutate into the guys. And going on to the final sections of the game, we get more flames, and we've got Capcom wooden barrels now, as well as the old metal
Yes,
barrels. Another classic. We had them
they're
in Knights of
reaching
the
into
Round. That's
their
how old those
inventory.
barrels are.
Yeah, they're really reaching into the inventory of
Yeah.
sprites now and just like pulling out all the classics.
I'd love to know who
Does
was
give you
who was the enemy off screen who was always rolling these goddamn barrels at you. If I could catch up with that guy.
He's the
But
same
also
guy who was
someone's filling them with treasures and food as well. So is it the same guy or will someone else put those treasures in there?
it's the same guy who ran the bonus stages in Street Fighter 2 where he's just
Yeah.
dropping barrels down, you know. He's really
Maybe,
bad at
maybe
his
it's
job.
that maybe it's that guy in Resident Evil 4 and the cloaky man who runs the shop and sells you the guns. It could be him perhaps.
Merchant.
Because he's a weird character.
But yeah, it's they're ramping up the pressure as we progress through, just like we were saying, throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you. And
And
of course
this
the
section here feels
barrels.
like Final Fight mixed with Turtles in Time, where you get the flames, you got the water, then we got these caverns, and
Yeah, enemies jumping out of the water. It even reminds me a little
yeah,
bit of Golden Axe
really
2,
nice
as in
water
the second
effects too. The
Golden Axe.
shadows, and when you run through the water, it goes, and when you jump up, it makes little splashing effects and sound. Really cool effects and sprites here.
Yeah, they went for attention to detail. Yeah, you got the splish
Mm,
splash, like you said, when you're running. Uh, yeah, really clever little animation techniques that they use. A little bit of parallax scrolling going on to give you that illusion of movement as well between the
yeah,
background and the foreground.
and it's great
It's
sound
a
effects all
beautiful
through this
game.
game too. And like most Capcom ones, the little audio samples of Jack going, yeah, hoo, hoo, and all the attacks and stuff like just sound great.
Yeah, it's so well tuned to what it needs
Mm,
to be. And like you were saying there, like the hits are just spot on. Everything
the
is
hits,
just really well
balance, and the
balanced.
frame
Yeah,
rates and the
perfect.
hitboxes.
The speed, everything, everything.
And like, I never feel like this game cheats on it. It gets more difficult, but if you get good at it and you learn your zoning and your hits and what can connect and what won't, just like playing Street Fighters, that you can really get very skilled at this. And the game doesn't cheat. It won't. There's very few fully invincible attacks and that. There's most stuff you can counter or do something to if you know what to do to it.
Yeah, it's not like Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat 2 just auto blocking all your shit and then just killing you. You know, at least it's fair.
We get on to the old was it Fassenden scientist guy again? He's going, I've been expecting you just in time to start your new life. Shall we begin? And he's an absolute maniac with his and I don't know whether like he was he always a scientist? Did he discover some of this old notes of somebody else like Reed Richards style, and he's just like working on someone else's work? There's a lot of stuff in the background as far as the mad scientists and these vaults and backgrounds of what the hell is actually going on. But he mutates into a big crazy two-headed dinosaur man, but he's still got the scientist head sticking out in the middle, like real sort of Roger Corman or Giga sort of look to him.
Yeah. This is total, Dr. William Birkin from Resident Evil 2 stuff.
Oh, yeah. With the eye in the bloody middle of his shoulder.
Yeah. It's just like he just turns himself into a freak.
Yeah. And yet somehow he's still talking to while there's big dinosaurs going, I've got the best of both, like the intelligent the scientist, but a big crazy dinosaur body.
Tough boss.
Which can also
breathe
flame, apparently, but I think that's more of a video game thing. You won't see that in the comics.
But yeah, he's a toughie, definitely. And like I said earlier, if it wasn't for the emulator, I probably would have never gotten to play this stage and beat him.
It's such a big sprite, though. It's like some of those Aliens versus Predator bosses. He's so big, you can just like keep moving around and smacking him and get away from him pretty quick.
There's a lot going on with his animation as well, because he's got the two heads that move up and down at the same time. Then he's just got a lot of little animations that you can counter and get around. I looked
at the full sprite sheet of him this week, and there was about 50 individual sprites that make up all his animations.
That's dedication right there.
And I remember fighting this guy. Like, it's real. You've already seen the guy mutate earlier into the other dinosaur things, and this guy was so massive on the screen. It's just like, holy shit. Like, I'd never seen anything like this in the beat 'em up game. Like, no enemy. It's like if you're playing Final Fight and you got those Hugo and Andorre, Andre the Giant characters, this guy's like 3 times big. He's like 3 times as wide and twice as tall as any of those guys. And the screen was bigger on this. Like, it was a bigger screen game, and he filled that screen.
Yeah, horrific design. It's like the creature from The Thing was trying to like assimilate a dinosaur, and it got stopped halfway through. It's just a pretty freaky looking appearance.
And it will make an awesome action figure.
Oh yeah. This is another reason why this license or franchise has to be revived in some way. Like, if we can't get Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, at least get something going under Xenozoic Tales and get us some cool looking shit.
Yeah, I'd be happy if I could just get a modern reprint of some of the early comics in the trade, because I've done enough of them, but they've all been out of print so bloody long.
I just have to use the toys and a camera to recreate my own ending to the series.
Yeah, that's the way.
Because in reality, it's going to end with us just punching this mutated scientist in the face repeatedly.
And he looks nasty. Look at like the brown bit. It does remind me of like Alien Giga with that big elongated skull. And he's just disgusting. And he's like a embryo, like embryo, anything that lives and gets born grows through certain stages. And whether it's a bloody tiger or human baby, they go from look like a little caterpillar shaped thing that then grows into something.
We got a bit of a false ending in this game as well, don't we? As I remember correctly, we're led to believe that 2 of the characters are dead, but they actually managed to escape.
Yeah, well, in this section here, they fight the boss, and then I'll go back here. See here where they're talking to him. He goes, "No, I'm not finished," and see all these explosions, and they're going, "Hurry up!" Hannah trips over. Jack stops to help them. Then we see Mess and Mustafa going, "Jack, Hammer," which again makes me think of Jungle Jack Hannah saying the 2 names in a row like that. So yeah, we do this big cool ending where they're running real super fast, sped up style through the old exploding underground laboratory or whatever. And after they've beaten the guy, And then we get just these two strolling off back through the sort of Badlands or desert looking area. And most of the credits play, like a whole lot of credits play for a couple of minutes. They're walking along and you're like, oh, I guess they're dead. And the Resident Evil countdown, William Birkin exploded them all. And like they always do in the Capcom games. But then they come riding up in the Cadillac and like, yeah, we barely made it. It's like, where the hell did they get the Cadillac? That wasn't an underground lab. It doesn't matter. It's a video game.
Perhaps the best moment of all is they don't go jump in. They just keep driving, and the other guys have to run alongside.
Let's keep driving. Let's go home. You guys keep running and get your bloody cardio, and we'll drive the cars. And the cool thing is, see on the very bottom right, it shows their track screen, and they've driven like all the way home without them. Just let them to walk after all that bloody fighting those horrible labs or the guys. You just need some more exercise.
Sorry, guys. We'll have the dinner ready by the time you've made the long walk home.
I'll just read before we go on to the next slides and sort of finish up. I'll just read in what was in there. You got Mustafa going, Jack Hunter, you're all right. Then Jack's like, yeah, we barely made it. So Fessenden, I want to say Fassbender, was a madman. His insane plans almost became our reality. Fessenden tried to mess with the balance. Nature always balances itself. And Hannah goes, let's go home. And Capcom's thank you for playing, which is like Capcom, Sega Konami always did the thank you for playing things in the credits. And the way that ends and he's going on about the balance of nature and all that did remind me of a certain other particular character in a certain Jurassic Park film. So I made this little image here this week. It's a pixel art version of the old Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. It's like nature finds a way.
Love it. Yeah, he'd be right.
It's very much of that era and that style.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. Great to see. A great game. Just a great fun little playthrough. And just the whatever you want to call it, the property, the franchise, the series in general, we've got an intriguing comic, an intriguing cartoon, toy line, and game, and it all exists within this short window of time, and then it's like poof, it doesn't exist anymore.
And it's all pretty consistent with each other. Like some other properties are bonkers and don't relate from one thing to another, but it's all pretty consistent internally with each thing it's in.
Yeah, like apart from like obviously there will be minor changes as we go from like media to media when you jump from comics to cartoon to game, but overall, yeah, they kept up a level of consistency that was admirable. You weren't kind of shaking your head going, wow, like these toys look absolutely nothing like what I've been watching on screen or playing on screen. Like they made the
How come there was a giant monkey in the third stage? That wasn't on the comic.
But yeah, like I said, though, it's a crime that it hasn't been resurrected in some form, especially in the modern age where we're so bankrupt for original ideas and we love stealing things from the past. This seems like a really obvious thing to steal.
Of the trades, I'd play this game or a new game. I'd happily watch a new show, or if like Jaded Toys went from Street Fighter to made like new figures based on these, I'd buy those for sure.
And it definitely still has its following, because as I'm perusing YouTube and I'm listening to the soundtrack and like you've got these videos with tons of views and tons of comments, so it has a big fan base. There still could be life left in it, and like we were talking about when we were talking about our favorite Jurassic Park toys, like dinosaurs are one of those evergreen things that you can always sell to kids. So I'd say if you were to take a chance on this, you probably could make a bit of money off it. Imagine a Leonard Cadillacs and Dinosaurs line.
Oh yeah, that would be the good right company to do that.
Someday, maybe. Let's see.
But yeah, we'll finish up there, I guess.
We'll finish up on episode 30. 30 episodes, folks. It's crazy.
30 in a row. It's a streak, man. It's a streak.
Yeah, keep the streak going. Hope you've enjoyed, folks. If you have any memories of any of the things we discussed, whether it be the game, the comic, the TV show, the toys, let us know. Love to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. And we've been to some semi-tropical, humid locations this week. Next week, we're going to be going to Miami. Some Miami Vice.
We might find some snow in Miami. Who knows?
Oh, I might find some snow. It's just dust here today, but it's blowing because it's hot and the fan's actually blowing dust, and so I keep bloody sneezing and sniffing today. But also, we're going to Miami next week, so you never know.
Looking forward to it.
I'm going to play this thing here.
See you, folks.